Well, we're all back once again. It's a nice little Monday here. And of course, Craden C is already in. He's saying, good morning, Krown. And of course, LFG, my TA nerds. LFG, my TA nerds. I still have not figured out if LFG is let's fucking go or if it's looking for group. Not sure, but it doesn't really matter, man, because we're all here regardless. We are grouped together. I will be the tank. Someone needs to be a healer. We need a couple of DPSs. And then we're ready to fucking rock and roll, I suppose. But looking at Bitcoin, I mean, there have been a lot of developments that we've been looking for that have now followed through from last week's video now to this week's video. We're carrying on with this long-term thread of analysis that's been ongoing for, I mean, I guess really the last few months at this point. And we're seeing yet again another sort of tick box that's suggesting, hey, at the very least, Bitcoin has a major low in. Does it have a macro low in? No, I would not say so just yet. Of course, that still, remains to be seen. We still need to see maybe maybe a higher low first would be fucking great. But in the short term, Bitcoin does have a nice low in place, and we are seeing follow through, and we have a lot of signals to update on and a lot of signals to be looking forwards to as to where this correction is likely to go. And I see a lot of familiar looking for group. Yeah, looking for gap is what I'm looking for. Looking for gay as well. That's exactly what I need this morning, because I have once again not had enough sleep, and it just is what it is, man. I think I just can't eat brown rice. Brown rice has too much fiber. It makes me fart, wakes me up at night. Not good. Not good at all. Anyways, let's go check in on Claude as to what the best news events are to be aware of for today. Of course, we do got oil once again rallying off of the new Iran war, right? The new Iran war. No, just the new strikes. But at this point, markets ain't even reacting. And it's just what we discussed. I believe this was, I don't know, maybe we brought this up like 2-3 weeks ago, where when you have these sort of events and the first, I guess, revelation of that event, when this, I guess, war, if you will, is kind of a very one-sided house whooping is what it looks like to me, starts, you get that first major reaction, right? Markets have a massive correction, and then they kind of regroup, they look for group, and then they rally back up. And then what happens after that? Another fucking ceasefire fails, whatever. You get another sort of nice corrective move, but it's not as big. And then so on and so forth. That process repeats. And now we're not even really getting a reaction, it seems like, at all. It seems like markets kind of absorbed this at this point. And ultimately, it just does. I mean, at this point, Bitcoin wants to fucking trade higher. I mean, it's really that simple. Of course, stocks climbing the wall of worry. As far as war goes, yes, we do have a dead soldier, which pour one out. I mean, I think a couple actually support a couple out, which is awful, obviously. And the market, like I said, is opening green. It's opening green, and chips are bouncing after what was a pretty devastating last week. Now, look, I am bearish on chips overall. I'm bearish on semiconductors. I'm bearish on a lot of that sort of stuff, but they will have their bounces along the way. And today, tomorrow kind of makes a lot of sense for that, because what? Because we do have earnings coming up relatively soon. Bitcoin now just above that green 55 EMA at 65,500. So that is a major area to reclaim that does have massive implications for higher on this rally. And then, of course, the biggest earnings this week of the quarter are coming up. We got Google, Tesla Wednesday after the close, Intel on Thursday, which is, by the way, down about 33% this month. I am, like I said, mostly out of that. Well, I mean, I still hold a core position, but I've sold what I want to sell. And at this point, I'm just watching and waiting for these things. Look, I'm not saying that they're going to be like bad for forever, obviously. Long term, I certainly would like to pick up a few more, but I do think that they're in for greater corrections. And these earnings, regardless of what happens, I mean, unless it's like something massively groundbreaking, I do expect whatever rallies that do emerge to fail, more or less. Anyways, moving on from there, the week itself, here's your sort of roadmap for the events coming up. A lot of unnecessary and irrelevant stocks: Verizon, NXP, Domino's, and Steel Dynamics popping up actually today for earnings. Tomorrow, kind of a more important one, because you've got defense and industrial stocks, which I do think industrials have been one of the sectors that have been carrying this market recently. Industrials, and to a lesser extent, the health sector. That's going to be GM, 3M, Lockheed, Halliburton, Danaher, these sort of names. Then you got on Wednesday, that's your Google and Tesla. Thursday is going to be Intel, of course, and then Friday is American Express, so kind of representing, I guess, the financials. But from that, let's go over here, check out on the Revan Ribbons, because once again, they have shown us the light. I fucking love you, Revan. I love you. I love you. I love you. I will profess my love to you onwards and forever, because this thing is just fucking great. And yes, it is still on sale, by the way, as well. You can use the code right there, Revan20, to get 20% off this baby. And what do you know? This thing didn't just base off of the mid-band once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, but now it is using these gray dots in that sort of neutral zone on the upper side to base off of. And this morning, morning's rally has found its low off that, as well as the last few days, in fact. And now it is entering into the blue targeted area of peace. And yes, I do look for this one to get up to somewhere around those red dots at minimum. Not necessarily today. It might be like a tomorrow thing. That's okay as well. And then the rally can continue, of course, to the next area of interest, would be the top side of this upper band number 1, which is about 68,000 bucks. I do think that Bitcoin has a chance to go a little bit higher than that well, I don't know about this month. Well, maybe this month. I mean, we've got like what, 10 days left to go. So Amex is still around. Amex is still around, man. What are you talking about? I use Amex. They're great. They're, in fact, probably my favorite. What do you mean they're still around? I don't know. Maybe you don't live in the US. It's probably more of an American thing, I guess. I don't even think they, do they even accept them in Europe at this point? I don't remember that they did actually. Anyways, yeah, so that's the daily right there for Reverend Ribbons. And then of course the weekly time frame right here has done anything of note as well. Well, this week it might, because it could in the process of this rally reclaim these gray dots, kind of a little bit washed out and difficult to see on this particular view. But if it does close above about 65,400 by end of week, it will reclaim those. And yes, a very obvious target towards the mid band, which is right now $70,000, is a legitimate target over the coming weeks. And again, I do think Bitcoin probably lands this rally somewhere between 68 to 70,000 bucks. And then, I'd want to reassess. I'm not saying that's going to definitely stop there and everything, but yeah, that would be the next sort of major area of interest, if you will. Anyways, following up on the signals that we were looking at from last week, I do think that there's a lot of updates to go on here, or not necessarily updates, just like validations of those signals that we were watching from last week's videos. One of them was, of course, the weekly bullish divergence on the weekly RSI. You got actually multiple drives right here, 3 drives, in fact. And this one now lifting upwards and onwards, even losing, or not losing, but getting out of the bearish controls. And you can see right here, even with the exponential moving average also working its way above there too. So these are good signs overall, especially on low volatility. And also, as we went over a couple of weeks ago, reclaiming the 200 simple and now the 5 EMA on multiple close over closures is a good sign overall. Generally I look for Bitcoin, I look for, bullish divergence to rally up to that the yellow 21 EMA. Again, massive lack of sleep last night. Man, it has been fucking rough recently. Holy shit. Sucks, man. Really, really sucks. But it is what it is. Hopefully not for that long. God damn, man. Oh God, there's nothing that I hate more than losing even like 30 minutes of precious sleep. Oh, it makes my day so bad, man. It makes my day so fucking bad. Anyways, back on to charts. How about that? Yeah. So looking at this right here, overall, I do see a couple of things coming in around 70,000 bucks. And then you do have an interim sort of area of interest at about 67.5 to 68,000 bucks, with maybe another very short-term stop along the way at about 66.5, I think it was. Other than that, we can go over here to not a completely new thing, but this is also a validation of a signal that we were looking at from last week, which is the weekly MACD crossing to the upside for the first time since the April rally, in which Bitcoin went up from about 70,000 bucks to 80,000 bucks, so about a $10,000 dollar rally from there. It is also confirming 1, 2, 3 drives of regular bullish evidence on the histogram for the MACD. And I would also say, because this is the second cross to the upside after an initial failure from a very low level, usually these are the ones that do hold true. We can look at the past few cycles. In fact, we've kind of had like a similar reaction around these regions. You can go back to 2022 and you saw this first cross the upside right here, and that one obviously failed on the bull trap. Then you get the second cross over here, and this one a lot closer to that low. And in fact, once it actually worked its way above the 0 read, the lows were in. Same thing over here in 2020. Again, that first cross the upside did actually have a nice, hey, show me the fucking chart, you bastard. Did have a nice little rally. And then the second one obviously did follow through with the actual major move to the upside. And then of course, similar thing over here from 2019 on the turn from that previous bear market to the resulting bull market. Anyways, in this case, yeah, just another overall good signal for the blue laws there. And then of course, I want to bring up something completely new on this channel. I have not referenced this signal since 2022, actually. It's one of the signals that actually did help us call one of the macro lows for Bitcoin. And I did bring it up actually over this weekend's video. I went on to Alessandra's channel, Risk Takers, which honestly, I fucking love that channel. You got to check him out. He gets like some amazing interviews. And he's actually like, surprise, surprise, he's actually a good fucking interviewer. Like most of these goddamn crypto interviews, it's like, Okay, just tell me what you're fucking showing today. Great, yeah, okay, amazing. Did you forget any marketing terms within that whole spiel, or can we move on now? Amazing. I learned so much. Yeah, fucking blow out my goddamn brains. Probably gonna get demonetized from YouTube for that. I've been working with Claude recently. Claude says, don't be talking about bungholes. Don't be talking about little boy bungholes. Don't be talking about fucking offing yourself. Don't be talking about guns. Don't be talking about none of this shit. Otherwise, the algo will not like you. Well, I don't like the fucking algo too. Anyways, sorry. If you're new here, I'm also redacted. Anyways, so the bi-weekly time frame here on the histogram for the MACD has had a pretty interesting interplay throughout the past few cycles. This trend line is connecting the peaks on all of the lows for the MACD histogram. So we're talking about this area here from July 2018, this area here from June of 2022, and then this area right here, which Bitcoin hit in February. Now, you're probably looking at all of those and you're like, okay, well, the macro low wasn't actually on all of those dates. You're exactly right. But if we actually measure from the macro low, from the low of that MACD, which is this first green vertical bar right here, to the actual low on price, which is the next green vertical bar right there, well, we'll notice that that took, on this iteration here, from July 2018 to December 2018, 168 days. Interesting notion. Let's move on to the next cycle. In June of 2022, once again, hit that trend line. Where did Bitcoin's low go in? At about the last week, I believe it was, of November. And that was another 160 or 168 days later. Interesting. And then if we were to pull through that same sort of relationship right here, well, this first test happened in February, obviously. If we pull through another 168 days, well, that would be basically this next 2-week period going into end of this month / very, very early August. And actually, now that I recognize it, this one is not exactly precise because the low was right here. So it was 154 days later. I don't know, maybe this one's 154 days as well, in which case maybe we've already seen the lows, in which case, you know, I am becoming more and more open to the possibility of this being a macro low. Again, not confirmed just yet. Still needs a lot to happen for that to be a reality. But more importantly, on this story, this thread of analysis I've been following on this channel for many moons now is it just hasn't been invalidated. So what would effectively validate this as a macro low? Well, the most easy and obvious thing, and honestly the most important thing to really be mindful of, is a weekly uptrend emerging. How would you get a weekly uptrend? Well, we certainly don't have one right now because it is literally lower lows and lower highs the whole way through. The way you'd get a weekly uptrend is you need to generally and ideally first rally up here, then come back down, put in a higher low specifically first. Higher low first, I stand by this so fucking harshly because I see this happen so often, especially on like major macro lows. Must get a higher low first. Then if that higher low pops back up and, you know, reclaims whatever high that goes on this rally, that's going to look pretty fucking good. Or especially, you know, full-on confirmation of macro bull market is reclaiming this high right here from, of course, May when Bitcoin was at 83,000 bucks or so. Anyways, that's really, really far away. So even at best here, while I do think Bitcoin does have an emerging rally that does go higher, I don't think we're going to see any like major deviations from 80,000 bucks or 60,000 bucks anytime soon. You know, we could fast forward maybe like 3 months without anything really seriously happening besides that range. And if Bitcoin is still within that range throughout that time frame, that would be looking really, 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 really good to me. As far as what to look for and be mindful of at the end of this month for, of course, the July closure is, can Bitcoin reclaim the green 55 EMA on the monthly time frame? If it can, great, because that generally has been another good indication of, hey, lows are in, get ready for some sideways and up. You saw it over here. Bitcoin loses the green 55 EMA, regains it over here. Hey, massive bull market to the upside. Amazing. Of course, we go back to 2018 right on over here, close below for a couple closures right there. Boom, reclaims it, massive rally, and onwards and forwards. Amazing. And then, of course, from 2014, 2015, it just tested it a couple times to not really ever close below it, but, you know, it's kind of early days as well. So, you know, for the information that we have, for the history that we do have, so far, so good. Again, would require Bitcoin Bitcoin to effectively finish this month out above 63,750. Still remains to be seen, obviously. A lot can happen in 11 days, but so far, so good. And I do think that Bitcoin carries on this rally for at least another week. So, that should help out that prospect. And ultimately, Bitcoin now has a very obvious and easy invalidation to the downside for any sort of short-term, medium-term, and potentially even long-term bullish momentum here. And that is effectively below the revenue ribbons midband, which is right now $63,000. So basically $63,000 is now becoming the next major invalidation. We can move it up yet again. We've done this many times now, and that is, that is just a welcomed development, I guess. Anyways, we can get over now to, of course, the comment section to 1111. Make a wish. Okay, I wish I could get some fucking sleep. How about that? Anyways, let's get over here to the top of the, of course, super chats, and I'll take a sip of this water, then we'll get right into them. Straight Path says, Iron, a nice reversal day. Target, sir? Question mark. Let's bring it up over here, actually. Symbol IREN. Okay. And nice move right there. Nice move right there, actually. Do I think this one is going to pop back up towards, 46? Possibly, I guess. Don't like it that much overall, just by the sheer virtue of getting all the way down to 32.5, to be honest with you. But do I think this one can rally a little bit more? Yeah, I do think so. At best, I think you're caught within a range here on the monthly. I don't know if you're necessarily looking at the monthly. You're talking about a weekly right here. If you're just looking at a weekly, could this rally carry you back to like mid 40s? Yeah, I think so. I mean, technically, it is still a higher low, but I'm not a humongous fan of what it's doing right there. Does it have hidden bullish evidence? It actually will have potential for hidden bullish evidence. I know last week I said if it closed below 37.66, I would relent on this, but there are some decent signals here. Volatility says that this is probably a corrective rally, but even if it's a corrective rally, I could easily get back up to like 45, 46 bucks. So, I'd want to take this one step at a time because that closure was pretty important to me last week. Ultimately, short term, I do agree. It should rally more. You also got some bullish evidence here on the daily time frame. So 43.5 on the lower end, as much as maybe like 46 on the upper end. I want to come back to it after that, though. I'd probably get that this week in alignment with earnings and whatnot. Anyways, we got Steven Schickman next. He's looking at stocks. Okay, it's been a while since we looked at this, but I know my semis have been bearish as fuck, so this should be bullish. And of course, it is bullish, but is it short term going to pop back? This one makes this thing so fucking hard, man. Okay, I still need to look at like the actual underline. This is significantly easier. Should have a rally here, so I would assume that SOXS is going to have a pullback. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing rally back to like 13,300, to be honest with you, man. So that would be some decent upside for SOXS with an S. I guess decent downside, like maybe back down to, I don't know, 40 or so. It's really hard to gauge on these things. I really despise these fucking 3x leveraged ETFs, man. I fucking despise them, man. I wish you never asked about these things. I really hate them. But ultimately, I'm not bearish on this chart right here. I would have to be bullish, and I do think that you will get up to like 65, somewhere between 65 to 70. Let's say, just do you pull back first in alignment with SOXS or SOX, having a short-term rally? Probably makes it a little bit difficult, but I would be very cognizant that highs could probably do come in around if you do get to like 65, 70. I would be very, very, very skeptical around that region. Anyways, cool. All right, Zeta now. Zeta for daily and weekly. All right, we could look at the daily and weekly for this thing. Yeah, still overall good, man. I like it. It looks like it did get down to about 17.5. I think I wanted to see it get a little bit lower than that. Yeah, it's actually kind of fighting it off right here. Not bad at all. Look, overall, I like this. I do think that it's going to resolve to the upside. Nothing's changed here. It's just you're asking about charts that are literally just going sideways, man. Like I feel bad because I just don't have anything to update with. I still think that you could come back down and put in a higher low closer to like $17 even. Is a few weeks or is a couple weeks ago good enough at 1770 or something like that? Maybe. Ultimately, I would have an upwards bias on this, but I wouldn't be calling an upside break until you're above about 24.5 bucks. Until then, it looks good. I'm not so convinced that it's ready to try like an upside move from here. I'd still be aware that it could easily come back down to like a 16 number and try for a higher low there. Somewhere around there would kind of make a lot of sense. So yeah, but overall, it's not bearish. I mean, at least not yet. Overall, this is good. I would certainly be expecting this one to break out to the upside. I like the higher lows here, and I like the same highs there. I'm always going to have an upside bias on a chart that looks like that. Anyways, Vince have PH8 says TTWO. This is Take Two. This is the publishers, I think, of Grand Theft Auto 6, or is it 5, or I don't even know which one it is. Am I going to have any time to play this fucking game? Like, that game came out when I wasn't in college anymore, but I was like right out of college. So, God, man. I don't know. I think I have to like get a life or something. That sucks. Anyways, Take Two. At the top side of the range here, I'm not so confident it's ready to break out just yet. You have a pretty easy and obvious validation for a breakout level, which is just effectively above your October 2025 high at 265 on a weekly or monthly closing basis at this point. You just rejected from there a couple weeks ago, so on hidden bearish divergence as well. So I'm inclined to say it's probably not ready yet. Overall, similar to the last chart, I do have an upside bias here. It's just, keep in mind, you could easily pull back down to, look, I'm not saying it's going to come exactly down to $200, but just for example, say come down to like 200 or 220, that would still be a pretty nice higher low, and set it up for another move higher and look a lot more technically correct to me as well. Doesn't mean that it needs to necessarily do that, but all higher term timeframes are not bearish. They are bullish here. It's just, do I think this thing's going to try, upside from here? I mean, on the daily, probably does have a rally back to like 250. That doesn't necessarily break you, but I still wouldn't call it break it until you're back above, what was it, 264, 265, whatever it was. 265, let's say. So overall, good. I mean, look, I have no issues with this thing, man. What's up, Colin Townsend? Krown, you've been my silent mentor for almost nine years. That's crazy, man. Look, I got no plans to leave YouTube. Like I said, if I was just in this for the money and all this, I would have been gone a long time ago. Don't take this the wrong way. I just don't have anything better to do that I enjoy doing. That's pretty much it, man. In fact, if anything, man, I'm trying to ramp up my production at this point. I actually had a really good chat with a friend over the weekend, Alessandro. He was kind of awareing me of all these sort of new ways that you can use AI to make things more exciting, especially when it comes to video. And it's like, now I feel like, oh shit, I now have power. I now have like similar powers to what all these massive channels have. Because if you didn't know, like, most of the big channels in the crypto space or the trading space or the investing space, like it's all the same basically. It's like they present themselves as like, oh, I'm just a little guy right here, speaking in the side of the fucking video, and it's just me, right? No, I mean, maybe they don't say that, but like it kind of presents as that way. It's like, pretty benign, I suppose. But what's behind them is usually like teams of fucking, anywhere between 10 to in some cases 100 people. I've seen it. It's fucking crazy, man. Like these people have like legitimate operations, like legitimate business. I mean, Crypto Banter, I know, is like over 100 people working there. I know Ben Cowan has a massive team. I know Gareth Soloway has a humongous team. Like all of these guys have humongous teams. And now I feel like, oh, well, I don't really need it. First off, I never really wanted a humongous team. And second off, now I don't need one, or at least less of one. So yeah, man, if anything, like I'm getting more and more excited. And I even got a new YouTube studio in construction, which I'm really hoping to unveil soon. And new fucking internet coming tomorrow too, baby. I'm really excited about that actually, because the current one's decent, but it could be better. It could be 3 times better, actually. Anyways, we'll move on to Zentram. He says, ARCA weekly, did it put in a new lower high? I don't know. I haven't watched this one in a while. I dumped this one a while ago. Like I said, did it put in, it put in its lower high way back here, man, in June. I don't know if you were on these videos back then, but right around here, we started to get really bearish on this in mid to late April. And this rally right here was the one to sell on. As far as what's going on right here, did it put in a lower? It put in a lower low is what it did, which is even worse. If anything, I think this thing's going to head lower over time. I think you're going to head down to about $5-6. Try for bounces along the way, obviously, but you got multiple drives of bearish divergence here on the monthly RSI. So, I think that this one's topped for a while. It had its chance. And this is something that I owned like back here, I was buying it below $10. And then of course, when we saw this rejection over here in the breakdown, that's when I said, hey, look, you can do what the fuck you want to do. I'm out. Let's see. I just got a notification from Claude. What's going on over here? I've turned into a fucking Claude zombie. I just press enter all the time and only God knows what the fuck it's going to do. Yesterday I was pressing enter on my keyboard intermittently for like 6 hours straight. watching YouTube videos and letting my eyes dry out like crazy. Wow. Super fun. Anyways. Yeah, if you're talking about a weekly, which you are talking about a weekly, this was your lower high right here. And this was a bad one too. Anyways, moving on, we have, who do we have next? We have Mr. D next. I think we have Mr. D next. He's looking at Intel, $95, daily 2155 EMA target. Let's bring it up right here. It is now at 98, rallying up. You're okay. You're on the daily time frame. Oh, do I think it's going to rally up here for a correction? Probably, yeah. It probably does rally up into earnings and then sells off afterwards. I could even see it rallying up all the way to like 115, 120, doing one of these, like quick up, boom, down. In fact, I really wanted to see that rally on, this was like a couple weeks ago in early July on that red circle, which it failed. You know, overall, still like long-term, I do hold a core position here. But I do think it's going lower. I think if we fast forward, you know, into end of year, you're going to see this thing at some point between now and that time, somewhere around like, I don't know, 75, 80 bucks, something like that. You're getting kind of close there on this rally, or sorry, on this dump. But yeah, I do agree. Next move is probably a rally here. I think that Friday's low is a nice little island low right there. And yeah, somewhere between about, you know, on the lower end, the 55 EMA. I think that you probably overshoot this a little bit. This has been a really, really volatile one as well. So I could easily see that, man. And again, when you got earnings coming up, of course, these things are going to go fucking crazy. Need for robbery, says Caretaker. What is that? Wait, oh my God. Okay, so I don't know what... I wish I could show you this, Caretaker. I'm going to screenshot this, actually. Caretaker sent a message on YouTube, which it auto-translated for me. His message says, "Need mo power," and the translation I will paste you, and you're gonna fucking love this. It says need for robbery. That's good, man. That's fucking good. Great translation, YouTube. Fucking great translation. God, man, where the fuck did that come from? Where the fuck did that come from? Anyways, let's see. We got Zach Briones next. He says Ethereum for daily and 4 hour. Any chance of bottom versus Bitcoin? Are you? I'm guessing you're asking versus Bitcoin. God, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. That's what I'm trying to say. Do I think it's bottomed? Like macro bottom? Like this being the low right here? I wouldn't call it myself, but I do think that you certainly have a major low right here that you're going to work off of. And I do think that it goes higher from here. I think that you probably work your way up to like 3 million Satoshis, a little bit above 3 million, like maybe 3.1 million Satoshis. Wouldn't be asked for too much. It would still maintain the long-term downtrend even on a weekly, but you know, it's a decent rally right there. Things really get crazy. I could see it going up to like 3.33 million Satoshis, but other than that, I wouldn't be calling it a macro reversal here or anything like that, just because, well, obvious reasons. I mean, with something like this, it's been down only, you know, as far as the long-term macro trends go, basically since 2018. I mean, this is high, low, lower high, same low, lower high. Not great. But in the short term, do I think that it has a major low? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyways, 4 hour time frame, don't know why you're looking at this, but short term, like very, very short term, probably pull back down to like, you know, this low over the weekend, I think it was. This area right here in the short term. But I think you get another higher low there and try another move back towards this high. Something like that. Anyways, 1236N says ADPT daily. Where would you manage risk for a swing to $28? These are really good questions. I really like questions like that. You already have an idea. You're just asking for something a little bit more like what I would do in this scenario. That's fair game. I like that. That's cool. Anyways, daily time frame, you are, well, it depends where you entered, but if you're looking for a move to $28, you're basically playing at the breakout right here, which means that you're playing the trending move. And it has not confirmed a breakout just yet, and it probably won't do it today. But if you do close above about whatever Friday's high was, which is $23, then yeah, I'd call a breakout and, you know, maybe see your $28 number or whatever. But until then, do be aware that there can easily be a pullback down to like $21-ish. So the only place that really makes sense to manage risk on this, if you're playing the trend, is the last higher low within that trend that actually matters, which is, of course, 1979. Make sure you get, I need to re-add the PA pivots here because the PA pivots, they shit it out on me. Still love this indicator. Hey, you motherfucker, you bastard. PA, just give me the PA. Oh my God, I'm losing my fucking marbles right now. What the hell? Okay, PA. Yes, there we go. There we go. Thank fucking God. All right, nice. Yeah, 1980 would be the number on a daily closure. Anyways, Arms Private says, where in your opinion should hold to hold? Where in your opinion Bitcoin should hold? I don't know if I'm underslept or if you're not good at English. Kidding. I'm just giving you shit. Sorry. I don't like those sort of durations. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck you're saying though. Where in your opinion Bitcoin should hold to hold the target around? Okay. Do you mean like where should it not go below as an invalidation? I think that's what you're working towards, or at least that is what my fucked up brain right now is interpreting. So I would say today's low is a pretty obvious point, which is 63,728. If you want to go buy the book, I'd still be using Reverend Ribbon's midband, which is $63,000. But honestly, today's low is realistically, this move right here should be the breakout if it's going to break out. So, if that low gets taken out, it's not a good sign. If it loses $58,000, that would also be bad. that would also be bad. I think we can make decisions before then, though. Anyways, just complaining about sleep on your channel increase the odds of you getting an AD sponsors for bed. I don't know what that is, but if we have a pretty good bet, honestly, the bet is not the issue. The fucking noise is the issue. The noise, sir. Anyways, Rob Willich says RDT. Reddit on the weekly. Okay. God, man, I made the major mistake of fucking venturing onto Reddit for researching 2011s. 2011s are cool as hell, man, but people who like 2011s are not cool as hell. They're fucking annoying neckbeards, man. Holy shit. Insufferable. Anyways, if that's you, by the way, I apologize. I'm just ranting, okay? Just a little bit of a rant. I still think something like this is going on. I don't think you're ready to move up in a real fashion from here. I think that last week's high is a good invalidation for short-term bullishness. If you could reclaim last week's high, then sure, yeah, run it back up to 265. That'd look great. But until then, long-term, I think it probably is good, but I wouldn't be surprised to see another higher low attempt at 160, something like this. Yeah. Monthly, I don't like it selling off coming into the end of this month. I don't know if Reddit has earnings to report, but yeah, assuming there's nothing crazy going on there, then I'd be looking for something like this to happen, which is not necessarily bad. Again, I think that ultimately does try some upside, but I just don't think it's ready from necessarily here. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And you'll know that I'm wrong because it effectively reclaimed last Wednesday's high. If it does that, okay, great. Send it back up towards those previous highs. That's a pretty easy move from about 200 to 260, 270-ish region. So not bad at all. But as of right now, not the biggest fan in the short term, except for maybe a short term extension of this rally to 190, 195 region. Still doesn't really do much for you. He's basically asking where do I put my stop loss. I think that is how I understand it as well, Mr. Cohen-Sig. Luffy's here. What's up, Luffy? Could you check out Circle, please? I'm long on Circle from $60. Let's check this one out. I actually haven't looked at it in a week, I think. Yeah, I like $60 as a short-term low that it should work off of. Keep in mind, it's still a downtrend here, obviously, but I'm not saying it's going to exactly rally up to this number, but just for example, say it could easily rally up to $80 and still be a downtrend. Yeah, overall, you retested a pretty major level right here. It's not a good sign, by the way. That's not a good thing. But I do think that you will rally more off of that. So where would sort of general areas of interest be? You got many drives here of bullish divergence on caretakers RSI. So, at least up to $69 if you want to get short in and out. That's pretty obvious area. From there, you got $77 to about $81 would be my areas of interest. I think that it probably will head a little bit higher, but that's up to you how aggressive you really want to be on something like that. Yeah, other than that, still not a humongous fan of this one just yet. I do want to accumulate it, but I won't do it until I see an obvious weekly uptrend form. For right now, looks like you got a low in, so I'd give it a chance to rally and come back to it after that. Aiden 6122 says VPG long term. Okay, base is 115. Where is invalidation? Well, if you're long term, then I go to a monthly. You entered your cost base is 115. You done goofed. Sorry, man. Where's invalidation? Invalidation for what? Your fucking rally's over, man. I mean, if you really want to play this as still bullish, then an obvious invalidation for bullishness would be a daily closure under $90. I think you'll probably have some, I think you'll probably do some like zigs and zags here, something like this perhaps. But I'm more on the side of this being like a major high right here. I don't think it's going up anytime soon, man. It's like to new highs is what I mean. Looking for something else that's obvious here, but I'm just seeing signs of exhaustion and likely a reversion play here as volatility starts to contract, because it's pretty much maxed out on every fucking higher term time frame. So I don't think that this thing's going up and making new highs anytime soon. I think if anything, you're going to pull back more. But the short term, you get some bounces. Maybe you get a chance to get out. Maybe a slight, I don't know, maybe you get a move to like 120, 125. I don't know. But do I think it's like literally going up from here? Not really. But yeah, if you ask me for an invalidation, like I had to play this position, I would just, I would put it at $90, $90 on a daily closing basis. Again, that is. Rosie knows. Actually, Rosie's pretty quiet during the night. Elsa had a surgery, so she's like up in like the late hours of the night. Kind of sucks, but it's not her fault, obviously. I mean, she didn't have to get the surgery. Well, she kind of did, I suppose. But anyways, doesn't matter. It'll be over soon. And then I can sleep like a goddamn baby again. Oh man, I'd so desperately need it. I really do. I'm not the kind of person who can operate well with a lack of sleep. And for fuck's sake, man, I'm not a caretaker. Goddamn. Anyways, let's see. PayPal, yeah, we could look at PayPal. I haven't looked at PayPal in a long time. PYPL, okay. Nice rally there. And you got a weekly higher low, so I do like that. I think you extend the rally at least a little bit more towards $60, kind of closer already, but you got many drives of bullish divergence on Caretaker's RSI for the monthly, which is kind of a big deal. So I think you at least get there. And with that many drives of bullish divergence, there is a real potential for it to actually put a big shot up towards that green 55 EMA more long-term. That's currently at about $80. Sorry, 77.70. So something like that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I think overall it does head higher. Do you get some short-term pullbacks in between there? Yeah, probably. Wouldn't be surprised if it came back down and based around like $50 to $52. Doesn't really do that much for it, but still be another higher low on a daily. Ultimately, I think you got some upside from here. Long term, obviously not a humongous fan of this, but I think you got probably a pretty good low right there to work off of. So even if it is like super, super bearish, I do expect this one to move higher in kind of a decent manner as well. But I ain't calling a macro low here or anything like that, man. No way. At least not yet. Got a long ways to go for there. Long ways to go from there, sir. Let me just check it in over here. Okay, yeah, another quiet day, man. Another quiet day, but that's all right. That's all right. That gives me more time to set up the new setup. All right, let's see what else we got. We're all bears now, says Diak. Okay, fair enough. If you think a man with a bin for a face should rule the UK, smash the likes. If you don't, gently caress the like button indeed. I don't even know what that means. Is there a man with a bin for his face? It's a very British saying. Bin. A bin. It's a fucking can, man. What else we have? SPX on the 4 hour. You mean like just general SPY? I like to look at SPY futures for this. If you're specifically looking at the 4 hour time frame here, the real question is this forming a higher low? And so far, it's actually not obvious to me. You have a range forming right here, obviously. 74.82 to the downside versus 75.41.5 to the upside. Whichever side breaks first is the side that I call. If it breaks the upside, I'd be looking for another retest towards the $7,600 highs. I mean, basically the all-time highs for SPY. Breaks to the downside, I look for a nice move all the way down, kind of in a big way towards 74.20 to 74 even. My personal opinion is probably does hold here. But if it fails, it fails. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm, whichever side it breaks is the side that I'll be going with. And in the very, very short term, it probably gets a little bit closer to that short-term low anyway. So yeah, other than that, man, I'm looking at the higher term timeframes for this. Monthly timeframe, I still like overall. Quarterly timeframe, I still like overall. Don't have any issues there. Bi-weekly timeframe, I think it's still okay here too, especially as long as you're above basically that 74.82 number. So, you know, I'd be managing off of that super easy. Because if you do lose it, it's a long way down. At least 70, I'd say at least 7,400 with potential all the way down to 73.10, 73.20. But yeah, you know, a quick move down to 74 first, try for the bounce there, and then probably down a little bit more. But until then, I'd err on the same side of the trend. So I would be calling this one. If I'm giving you my just opinion, you know, I think it does something like this. Blah, 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 back up. But again, whichever side breaks first, that's the side I'd be rolling with. Until then, your guess is as good as mine. Flip a fucking coin, I suppose. What's up, Zarius? Hello, sirs and zers. Sirs and zers, indeed. All right. I feel like I missed one around here. Yeah. Great White Hype's looking at ABT, symbol A, B, and T. Abbott something rathers. No, it's health technology. And what do you know? It's rallying on the 4 hour. So that's not that interesting. But weekly time frame, I do like this for a low. I don't know about a long term though. But do I think it goes a little bit higher here? Yeah, I do think so. I think in the short term, you probably get up to, what is this, 103.5. That's not really saying much. I mean, it's just another 1.5% move. But generally, I think that you will test the green 55 EMA on this move. You are forcing that corrective setup right here. And last week closed as a massive bullish engulfing dildo. So this is a nice rally. Still not calling a macro low here, but you know, it could easily look something like this. Boom, up to like 107, 108, pop back down, try for that higher low, do something like that, and then pull through. But long term, still not a humongous fan of it as long as you're below about 116. Hard one to love from a long term perspective. But hey, if it can put in that higher low, that starts to look a lot better to me. Until then, I mean, we literally just look at Circle, man. We literally just looked at Circle. Just scroll back, I don't know, maybe like 3 to 5 minutes. Hit Xerxes. Actually, it kind of does read like Xerxes. I think I've just been saying it wrong for such a long time. Why didn't you tell me? Anyways, CNR for corked. CNR. Okay. Canadian National Railway Corporations. All right, great. Weekly, monthly, 3 month. Start off high, we'll finish low. Overall, good. Overall, I really like it. Good. Do I think it's ready to break out right here, though? That's a real question. It definitely has a chance, definitely has an opportunity. But usually when I see kind of like a sharp rally like this, the first test into that previous high does pull back. And you try for a higher low first, lower, and then you try your real move to the upside. But hey, if you can close a monthly above 181.34, yeah, I'd call a breakout. And at that point, you're probably looking at, I mean, we can pull up some areas of interest here for continuation. You know, 236, I think, would be a big target, followed by about 263 and then 290. I'm not saying that all of those hit, but, you know, at least the first one and likely the second one too. Again, assuming validations are met. Until then, a lot of the time I see stuff like this, like go for more of a prolonged sideways consolidation, still resolving bullishly, but, you know, taking its time here. See what a 6 month looks like. 6 months says it could break out from here. Like this, well, I guess into end of year. Has a real shot. So I'd give it the benefit of the doubt, I suppose. But still, I want to see it validated above that number specifically because you can see very, very clearly that it's sold off on that first pass. Anyways, cool. Zach Briones is back. So it says, for a 1 to 2 year spot Bitcoin plan, would you still buy at 65 to 70,000 bucks or only 60K and lower? Also, do you DCA by time or only for specific pullback levels? It's one of this. It's actually both. So DCA by time, very relatively small buys on a monthly basis, consistent. And then when I see big pullbacks to levels that I really, really like, that's when I go and fucking dump. Well, dump my money into it is what I mean. But yeah, anyways, as far as I'm curious, like why 1 to 2 years? I'm not a humongous fan of that time frame. Seems like unnecessary complication. And 2 years is a lot different than 1 year. I mean, it's 100% more. For a 1 to 2 year spot Bitcoin plan, would I still buy around here? Is the idea like you're going to definitely sell 1 year from now or 2 years from now? I don't know. Do I think it's a good plan? I don't know. I would say if you're going to hold for 2 years, you probably will have a chance to get out of something profitable, but I couldn't tell you. It doesn't really sound like you know what you're doing. I'm not trying to say this in like a mean way, but it's just like, if your strategy is I want to buy and hold for 1 year, that's not a strategy. So it's hard to like, would I do that? No, I wouldn't do that. Like, of course I wouldn't do that. That doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't think of things in terms of like, definitely 1 year out from now, I sell. That's like, without any like real reasoning behind it. I just don't understand it. So would I do it? No, I wouldn't. Would you do it? Maybe, but I don't understand your preferences or like what you're trying to do here. So that's kind of what I'm getting at. You're saying that's just a time frame I plan to accumulate, not hold. Sorry, I plan to hold long-term 5+ years. So like over the next couple of years, would I be buying around these levels? I wouldn't. I would say if you're gonna buy, you put it in terms of percentage. Okay, so let me just explain to you how I do it, and then just fucking copy it. All right, this is a better way of doing it. So, sorry, but I don't have the brain power to diplomatically explain this right now. So what I would do in this situation, what I am basically doing is, yes, I buy at the low 60s. Is $65,000 still acceptable? It's the same shit, basically. It's a little bit 10% off the lows. Look, if you're holding things for fucking 4 to 5 years, you're ultimately trading for probably X's rather than percentages. So 10%, that's fine. That's fucking fine. You're going to be okay. You're going to survive. All right. It's not about maximizing profits. No, like the people who try to maximize profits usually end up losing a lot because they try to be perfect. And when you try to be perfect, you end up making a lot of mistakes because no one can be fucking perfect. All I'm trying to do is capture the majority of a move. If I capture 70% of the move, I'm looking at that as like extremely good. If I capture 80% of the move, I look at that as like fucking legendary. Okay. That's how I think when it comes to long-term investments. I think that that's really good. Even if it's like 60% of the move, I think that that's still pretty fucking good. Anyways, as far as this, would I allocate some percentage around these levels? Yes, I would. I would probably allocate up to a total of 50%. Up to a total of 50%. And I'd want at least 30%. Somewhere in the mid to low 60s. $65,000, whatever. Fine. Okay. Yeah. It might not be the exact perfect entry. Duh. All right. Whatever. But at the same time, I'm fine with that. Are you fine with that? That's a question that only you can answer. I don't know. I can't answer that for you, but I can say that I certainly am fine with that if I was in that situation. Now, would I continue to DCA later on? Yes, but only if specific things happen. So what I want to see happen is I'd want to see Bitcoin either confirm a weekly uptrend, in which case I would literally just buy whatever the next pullback is. Or if Bitcoin does fail here and does eventually head lower, I would consider buying more when I see indications of another macro low being formed, which that might be 50, that might be 40, that might be 30, that might be 20, that might be negative 100. Who knows? But until I actually see those indications of potential macro low forming, I would not allocate until that happens. Other than that, there's not really. I really wouldn't overthink it that much, man. If you're going to hold for 5 years, anyways, you're basically playing the cycle, or hopefully a cycle. So if things do bottom out here, what's the next high going to be? Anywhere between like $150,000 to maybe like 220. Are you going to be happy buying at 60? Probably, I would assume. Maybe not. I don't know. Again, I have no idea. That's what makes it very, very difficult to give, comments on those sort of things. I can speak from my point of view, obviously. But yeah, if you're going to hold for 5 years, do I think buying around these regions is like a terrible idea? No, I don't think so. I would buy up to 50% of what I'm going to allocate anyways. And the rest I would do on confirmation of reversal or significantly lower. Anyways, Corked87 says railway again, please. Is that a ticker or I think the ticker is NSC. What's railway? What's railway? I have no fucking clue. Anyways, NSC on weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Let's go high first and low later. And this one is really fucking good. It's already confirmed the macro breakout. For some reason, I feel like we've seen this one before, but I guess we haven't. At least I don't have a chart for it. Overall, really, really good. You confirmed the macro breakout last quarter, and this quarter's opened up with fresh highs. Really fucking good. Follow through is nice. And ultimately, I do think that this thing is going higher into probably end of year, or at least into end of this quarter. So let's see what the next sort of areas of interest are going to be on something like this, which would be in the sort of, I guess, shorter term, 350 to 360, probably a short-term pullback around there, but I don't think it's going to top there. I do think you will get up to, $400 or so from from there, maybe like 440. And if things go really crazy, maybe see like at close to $500. Overall, really good if you're looking at this one through a long-term lens on a quarterly time frame. If you're on a weekly time frame, there's going to be pullbacks along the way, of course. But for right now, even, I mean, your last real higher low was all the way down here at about $300. So there's a lot of leeway between where you're at right now and that number. Is that really a great invalidation? I would say probably not. You know, if you want to wait for that, in the short term, you could easily pull back to like 330. Doesn't really do much, but I'd say I'd really want to take a second look at it if it did start to crack below about 315. Until then, I'd let the trend be my friend. Understand there's going to be some volatile pullbacks on a major macro breakout like this that's been baking for about 5 years, and I'd want to just ride the trend. I mean, I assume that's probably what you're doing here, and that looks good to me, man. What's up, Faleon? How you doing, man? How are you doing? We need to hear laughs in the background. Yeah, Elsa is unfortunately bedridden at the moment. Kind of sucks. What's up, Mark Wood? Good morning to you, man. PD Bitcoin says, you stated that the Bitcoin, you mean the CME Bitcoin chart has been invalidated by weekend trading and you have pivoted to the IBIT chart. Why do you keep doing analysis with the Bitcoin chart? Because when it comes to very, very long-term analysis, obviously IBIT does not have the history for that. Thus, it is kind of irrelevant when you're trying to look back more than a few years. That would be why. Now, if I'm looking at a daily time frame, then we could go to IBIT right here. And of course, as we pointed out last week, there is a nice little corrective setup between the red 5 EMA and the yellow 21 EMA. And I would be generally looking for that green 55 EMA to be hit, which is more or less the highs of June. So if we correlate that to Bitcoin, that would be 67 min change. Can it go higher than that? Sure. But of course, because we don't have that long-term history, kind of makes it less and less viable for comparing things for the very, very long term. What broker is good for CME futures? You can trade them on IB, Interactive Brokers. That works. I'm sure it's available, elsewhere as well, but that's one of the more, I guess, easily accessible ones that I think is better appropriated for trading. IBIT chart sucks badly, says Hoy Hoy. I disagree, sir, but that's fine, sir. That's fine indeed. Anyways, I do have a few updates for my options positions. Actually, the short calls that I did I'm going to have to cover those. And I already have covered some of it. In fact, yeah, my short calls right here are my other short calls. These ones right here. These ones are underwater. These ones are underwater. But I did cover. These was at the $66,000 strike. So I did buy when Bitcoin broke above $65,000. So I'm holding the underline. And now what I actually need to happen. Well, I actually need to happen for me to make not just this maximum profit here, which is $15,000, but also make on the 20 long Bitcoins that I own between 65 to 66, is I need Bitcoin to finish this month out above $66,000. If it does, good payday. If it doesn't, bad payday. Well, no, not necessarily a bad payday, but not as nice. Anyways, as far as the short puts, these are basically all premium. I'm in the process of buying them back right now. I'm not in the business of holding fucking, shit that's worth like fucking $50 with 10 days left to go in expiration. I am buying those back literally as we speak, bidding those up. And other than that, I'm going to be playing these short calls and hopefully I can actually just uncover a small long position too. That'd be quite nice because I don't want to be shorting any more puts at these levels. So yeah, that's what it'll be for at the moment. Other than that, good. Like the first time I've actually even had to show really a cover. Unfortunately, you can't actually show a cover on the strategy builder right here because you can't show. At least I don't think that you can show. Oh, you can do a covered call. Let's see. Will it show the long stock? Oh yeah. No, it won't. No, it says futures right there. Oh, that's cool. Oh, that's really awesome. Can I add a position like this? No, I can't. Okay, let's try this. This is actually a pretty cool feature. All right, this must be new. This was not the case that long ago. So I did this 20 times for 750, and I bought. I guess this would be 20. Is it going to measure it in coins at 65? Like a little bit below 65,000 actually. But I'll just do 65,000 even here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So for some reason, this doesn't look right to me. Wait, this should be right. Yeah. So break even 64,450. Okay. Or 64. Yes. That makes sense. All right. Of course, maximum profit is at $66,000. Yep. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah. This looks right. Yeah. So assuming Bitcoin does close above about $66,000 or just at $66,000 at the end of this month, then maximum profit for this position is going to be $35,000. By the way, if all this sounds fucking Greek to you, check out the Options 101 course. It's free as well. It'll explain all the fundamentals and basics of options and options trading. And at the very least, you'll understand stuff like this, which is honestly like quite simple strategy. It's just, it looks fucking weird. I can understand that. It looks like super weird to people. But if you understand like what these things are doing, it's like a fucking covered call or covered put is a pretty foundational, simple strategy. You know, covers, straddles, strangles, spreads. If you can understand all those things, you're pretty good. Like you can backwards engineer just about any option strategy from those. In fact, I need to make a video on that. Let's see. I need to write this down. This is going to be a great video. Yes, spreads. Okay, right. Okay, great. Okay. Now what do we have? Wait, what the actual fuck? Okay, just my emails absolutely blew the hell up in the last second, which is bizarre. Anyways, I guess it doesn't really matter that much. Anyways, let's see. Okay, we got ZPH. He's looking at ATAI. Okay, ATAI. Gotcha. All right. ATI Beckley. Nice gap up here. Nice gap up there. And overall, a pretty nice move. And I remember we've been looking at this one over the past couple of weeks for you, and it's been pretty damn good. And now it's following through. I like this, man. I'd really like to see it finish the month out above 680. It's kind of a formality at this point, but I do think the breakout is real, and I do think that it will head higher, man. Overall, this is good. I don't really have anything new to add on to it that wasn't said last week or even the week prior than that, but I guess areas of interest to the upside, not necessarily that it's going to absolutely top around these regions, but, you know, reaches them, probably pulls back a little bit. You know, next one's going to be about 850. From there, you got 970. That's a big one. 1120 is a big one. And then 1273, if it gets there, would be a humongous one. And I'll just be bullish as long as you're above the last week's low. Last week's low was your breakout on volume. The breakout looks real to me. I'll just be following this, man. If it wants to pull back in the short term, you know, anywhere around 670 is completely fair game, but I think that'd probably be an opportunity. I assume you've been holding this for a while. Anyways, your face blocks options. Yeah. Oh, it blocks all those. Hold on. Let me actually see. I want to see for myself. Yeah, it's blocking the actual thing right there. But now that I don't need this, we can just delete this. And, well, now you can't really... Hey, get the fuck out of there. All right. Yeah, you can't even really see it still. That's annoying. Delete all expired strategies. Yeah, let's do that. That would be a good idea. Yeah, there you go. All right, now you can see it. Kind of. I'm basically short the $66,000 call strike 20 times for $750, and then I'm long Bitcoin coins 20 times, like 20 coins at $65,000 even. Technically, I bought a little bit below there, but just for ease of numbers. Yeah. Anyways, we have Kush Squad. He's looking at NBIX. Okay. Finish this video so I can watch from the beginning. You can actually literally just scroll back to the beginning of these live streams in case you didn't know. Anyways, Kush Squad is looking at NBIX. Okay. NBIX. Got it. All right. Yeah, nice higher low right here on the daily, but you're on a quarterly, so you probably don't give too much fuck of that. Overall, good. I mean, last quarter's close was excellent. That confirms a breakout, especially on multiple drives of hidden bullish divergence on caretakers RSI. So I generally think you're just going to float higher from here. Naturally, there's going to be, you know, pullbacks along the way, but you're not asked about that. You're asked about just general areas of interest for the upside. So let's get some of thems. 205 is a big one, but probably not going to be like a macro top. Above there, you got 233. That's a big one. And then you got 270 and then 307. Should at least hit a couple of those, I would imagine. Yeah, not bad. Kind of a weird looking chart though. I mean, geez, man. It's not often that you see something like this. This is a rare example, I think, maybe, of a reversal without a higher low first. Yeah. I mean, you kind of got higher lows right there, to be fair. So, but it appears like a V bottom when you go to a monthly or a quarterly, for example. Just really crazy move. But health technology, yeah, seems to be the thing right now. So cool. Ticker is in the middle of the screen. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. ATAI was acquired by Eli Lilly last week for $2.8 to $3.8 billion. Good deal. Need to come up with a YouTube 101. Actually, I would very much appreciate that. Zach Brion says, understood perfectly, aligns similarly with what I'm already doing. Was just curious to see it. Okay, cool. Yeah. I just like, I always want to avoid like taking liberties with assuming like what people are trying to do. So that's like why I probably just come off as like a fucking autistic asshole when I'm trying to explain these things. But yeah, it sounds like you already get that. So all good, man. That's cool. That is cool indeed. That is cool indeed. Anyways, all right. Let's scroll back up here, see what other things we have missed. John says, yo, and then it gets auto-translated on YouTube to yes. Don't know if that translation is good. Can you look at Snowflake or NDX? Can you give me a ticker for Snowflake? Piddlecat says, hey, Krown, just watched your Sunday video. Good one again. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I've really been appreciating the feedback on those. It helps me kind of figure out what direction to take these. The Sean8512 says, what are your thoughts on XRP? Generally, I don't think it's that interesting. But if you want to look at it, you're asking, has a macro low been hit? It's going to depend on whatever Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin's macro low is in, then probably this thing is in. If it's not, then I can only imagine XRP is going to get hammered a lot more. Now, of course, XRP in comparison to Bitcoin right now is relatively weak. It's not experiencing the same rally in the short term that Bitcoin is. So if Bitcoin shows any weakness, then this thing can really get fucking smashed in the face. But look, unless if Bitcoin like truly breaks down, back down to $60,000, do I think that this thing's going to break down? No. And what I call a macro low here, not on its own, because like it's really just based off of whatever Bitcoin's doing, man. I think it's possible though, like at least on the monthly RSI, you do have potential for hidden bullish divergence because you are making significantly lower lows on the RSI relative to higher lows on price action. So it is possible, but I wouldn't be willing to call it prime, just from looking at XRP. Like XRP is just, it's positive. It's lowly correlated with Bitcoin on the upside, and it is highly correlated with Bitcoin on the downside with a significant beta. It's not good. But hey, if Bitcoin's macro low is in, do you think that this thing's going to go any lower? Probably not. No. It's also the future of finance. That's exactly right. It's going to cure your cancer and also bring world peace. It'll even bring peace to the Middle East. It's that good. It's that good. Anyways, just wanted to mention the ATII acquisition because it probably will be stuck at a current price until deal is confirmed. People keep asking for analysis like they're expecting another move. Oh, fair enough. All right. Thank you for providing some providing some color on that. That starts to make a lot more sense to me, actually. Where is that price going? I don't fucking know. Anyways, I told my wife I put our entire life savings into XRP as a long-term retirement plan. Great idea. She asked what age I plan to retire at, and I told her whenever XRP hits the moon. Beautiful. And also when pigs fly. Incredible. Incredible, incredible strategy. Your wife is on a good plan. Indeed. All right, let's see. I'm just scrolling up here, seeing what other comments we got. A little bit of a quiet day today, despite Bitcoin rallying. It's kind of weird. When Bitcoin rallies, it seems like interest in the market actually maybe slightly less, unless it's like a massive fucking rally. But for the most part, what brings people out to streams is downside price action, pretty much of any sort. Anyways, Blake says, yeah, the most recent video presented in a way that made it click. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah, man. These like. All of the really complicated topics can usually be boiled down to something pretty simple. Like if you just understand the heuristics behind them, like especially with options too, man, like it looks so daunting and like an overwhelming task when you first run into it. But after you learn like the foundational 4 strategies, everything else is a fractal of that. Maverick Kennedy says, what are the odds Bitcoin has bottomed already? Well, to present any odds right now as legitimate odds would be completely fucking bogus and bullshit. And anyone who's telling you that is a fucking charlatan shyster. As far as if you're asking just what my opinion is, not mathematically based on what the odds are that Bitcoin has a low is in. If Bitcoin closes this monthly above the green 55 EMA, which is 63,750, I would say my personal odds, Again, not mathematically based. I'd put it at like 80 to 85%. That's going to start to look really good to me. Or at the very least, Bitcoin has like a nice rally inbound that I think deserves. That's probably going to go on for some time. So yeah. But as far as like, it's definitely 23% that is bottoming right now. No, I can't say that. There's no real way to do that for that sort of a thing. I see a lot of signals that I want to see, but they're not conclusive on their own. And ultimately, it is the trend that decides whether the macro low is in or not. And like I said, that's still very far away. I mean, shit, that would realistically, in like the best of best case scenarios, would take like 2 months to get confirmed. Snowflake ticker snow. Okay. Snowflake. I think you're going to retest this high officially and probably pull back again from that. But if you're more long-term, I think it's going to break out. I mean, this is good. You got a monthly higher low right here. You got same highs right here. You also have a higher high compared to this high right here. So I look at this as a reversal already. You're already at that previous high. So what's more likely? Trend continuation? Yes. If there is any more pullbacks in the short term, I guess I'd be looking back towards like 230 if it wants to do it again. But there's a real shot that it might even break out through here. Regardless, the way to confirm a breakout would be a weekly closure above 280.5. That would do it for me. Ashayzada. Bitcoin so far always had a hidden bullish evidence on the monthly at least. If it would have bottomed already, there wouldn't be one. Opinion on that? So, okay, so I think what you're saying is that on all previous lows, there have been hidden bullish evidence. True. Yep. Here. And also, if we look at this one, technically there was hidden bullish evidence, and perhaps there even still is. Let me see the closing price of this. 59. And actually, technically not, no. But I mean, technically you did have hidden bullish evidence on this low right here. And that did play out. I mean, that was your move from 60 to 80, kind of a big move. So I don't know, does it have to play out exactly perfectly like that? It has in the past, to be fair. Well, I guess the one time where it did not was the 2015. So there are some precedents for it kind of playing out similarly to this over here. It's there, I guess. But yeah. Stop crying. Be a husband. Don't tell me how to live my life. Anyways, BE on a daily. I'm looking to short it with a gap fill at 200 SMA. Okay. Let's see if that is a devastating idea or not. And I would say you're probably on the right side of this thing. I think this thing's top for a while. I know you're probably not asking about the monthly, but the monthly has bearish divergence and is obviously topping. I think if you fast forward here, it's probably down to like 130. But what time frame? Where the fuck even was this? Okay, daily, yeah. Okay, so you're looking for a daily rally to wait, what? Your BE on the daily. I'm looking to short it with a gap fill at the 200. The 200's. Oh, you want to short it from here going down to the gap fill at 175. What happens if it bounces first? You'd be able to, I mean, where's your risk if it bounces first? 225. So you have 10% risk on a fucking 4-hour time frame, nonetheless, for a that would be 12 to 13% move to the downside from here. And that assumes that you go literally just straight down from here. I don't know, man. I wouldn't take that trade just because I'd want to like short on a lower high rather than try to do it like in the middle of what might be the move or what might not be the move, because you did just already have kind of a bounce right there, to be fair. I don't know, hard one. I wouldn't take the trade personally, but do I think it's going to go down there at some point? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, okay, I shouldn't say absolutely, but very, 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 very likely. Weekly, monthly, quarterly, all bearish. Probably going to get a big bounce though at 175, so I would be very much aware of that. Probably rather play a bounce at 175, even though that kind of goes against my rule of playing the trend, but that does seem like a pretty obvious area. McDonald says, looking for your opinion on a buy zone for LOY on the daily. Okay. So you're playing the daily. Short term, I think it's corrective. I think you come back down to 1,115, something like that. Do I think that's going to be a low though? No. Like when you just asked about the daily, so I'm just going off the daily. But if I know you didn't ask about it, but if you were to ask about the weekly or the monthly, I think it's possible that it does come lower. I think it's possible that it comes a little bit like closer to 1090 to 1080. But anyways, if you're just asking about the daily, I think your next move is somewhere down around here and try a bounce from there. Long term, I think it's good, but it's hard to say on this one. Well, it's Jesus fucking Christ, man. Not often that you see a yearly RSI at 97. Or God, it's even higher than that right now. It's 97 and a half. Yeah, really not often that you see something like that on a basically vertical rally since 2010. Yeah, I don't know, man. I look, if you want to play a bounce in it, somewhere down around here, like 1,110 to 1,115, I think it was. But would I be holding that for life? Probably not. No, I think this thing is like very close to topping, if not already topped. You're trying to like really squeeze water from a rock if you're holding this thing for a long period of time. Rob Willis says, the options play, when you cover by buying the underlying, how do you profit with the rally up? If you will, just have to give them away to assignment. Okay. All right. Let's go into some options fundamentals here. I love talking about this sort of shit. Okay. So you're short 20 of the 66,000 strike calls. If those go into the money and I didn't own any underlying stock, then what happens? Then I get assigned short, like if this was U.S. equities, you get assigned short stock, but here you just get assigned, you just get like a loss. Basically, it's what you get. You don't have any like leftover position. But the 20 long coins that I have going from $65,000 to $66,000 is going to make 1,000 times 20, so that's $20,000. Plus, it's also going to make the full profit of those short $6,000 calls because I shorted them for $750. Because once those go into the money, now I am effectively, like if those go into the money, what does that really mean? It means that I'm short 20 coins. So if I am long 20 coins on futures and short 20 coins on options, if those go again in the money and they close in the money, then what is my effective net position? It's zero. I'm delta neutral. Well, not delta neutral. If it goes down like below 6.6, then yes, start to lose some of those profits. But yeah, so let me just reread this again. How do you profit with the rally up? Yeah, so I'm covered again from 65 to 66. That's $1,000 move times 20, so that's $20,000. So that's so you're profiting there, but you're also profiting on the call premium that you sold because you own the underlying and you're short those calls. So your net effective position is zero, but you shorted those calls for $750 20 times. So all of that is profit too if it closes in the money. That's how you profit. You're getting you're basically getting the covered call plus a little bit of that upside. Yeah. Anyways, let's see. Ask says Krown bought Boxable as my first accredited investment. What is that? 80 cents. Can you, well, let's go look at it. Never seen this one before. Boxable. I'm guessing it's symbol box. Is it box? Asty, you got to help me out. Boxable. I'm just going to type in Boxable. Is it this? Oh, is it like a crypto shitcoin? All right, Asty, I'm going to wait for you to just let me know in the comment section. Probably not this. This is trading at 2 or 3 tenths of a cent. So I'm going to guess maybe not. Maybe it is symbol box. Asty, you got to help me out here though. At 80 cents. If you bought this at 80 cents, nice. I don't know exactly what you're talking about yet because I'm almost certain it's not the crypto shitcoin because otherwise you are beyond fucked. And if it's this thing, then you are beyond unfucked. So you let me know because I'm not clear on the ticker just yet. Anyways, let me take this sippy sip. Bitcoiner 21 mil says the question isn't whether Bitcoin is bottomed. The question is, has Bear Jesus ever arrived? Piddlecat says, yes, right. Even up to the quarterly, there were the hidden bullish divergences previously, but small sample size. Yeah, true. Look, I'm completely opened to both sides. But if I do see it reclaim the 55 EMA, that starts to look a lot better to me. I'm still waiting on nasty here. I just want to make sure we get her. I'll try typing it in one more time. Boxable. It can't, like, God forbid it's this, or maybe it's this. Okay. There's no data. If it's this, then unfortunately there's no data, Asti, so I really have no idea. Yeah. All I do is I look at charts. So I couldn't tell you. What I can say though is, in general, if you're an accredited investor and you're basically getting like pre-IPO prices, the IPO is your chance to basically sell. It's a liquidity event, is what it really is. Boxable is a small modular home company that pretended Elon bought one of their little ship boxes. Well, that's good marketing. Rob Willich says, SPX, I have an options play that expires Wednesday and the break-even is 75.34. Any hopium? Let's see. Don't tell me you longed fucking options. If you have gone through my programs and you long options or your net long options, I will blow my fucking shit unless it's one of the very, 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 very few scenarios in where that can make sense. Okay, your breaking at 75.34. Yeah, you're definitely long options. I don't know. I kind of expect this one to expect it to have a bit of a pullback first, if anything. Is this good enough on a pullback? It's really hard to say. I really don't know on this one in the short term. As we went over earlier, it's a 4-hour time frame that I'd be managing off of. If you're back above basically this morning's high, yeah, sure. I think you're gonna have a chance to get out of break even. And if you do take out this morning's low, I think you're being sent down all the way to like 73.50 to 73 even, something like that. The Joule indicator, what's the top 3 strongest timeframes of the Joule to call a bottom is in? Oh, that'd be the monthly and weekly, but monthly. Top 3 timeframes. You're speaking in like YouTube title language. Yeah. Asti, can you give me the symbol maybe? That'd be great. Yeah. I mean, there's always hopium. It's just. Whenever people buy premium, it just makes me cry inside. BXBL. Yes. Now we're good. Now we're better. BXBL. Okay. You bought it 80 cents. Oh, it literally just IPO'd today or something. Yeah, this must be like literally brand new. I don't know. I don't play these things. I don't get involved in these things. I do not play anything that is completely brand new like this because I'm a technical analyst as my main source of edge when it comes to trading and investing. So I need lots of history in order to analyze things. This obviously has none. Yeah, I'm looking at BXBL right now. If you got in at 80 cents and it's trading at $10, I'd be fucking selling. But that's just me. Like, I don't understand this thing. I don't know anything about it. I would immediately look at this and say, wow, I have more than a 10x return. I'm going to sell the ever-living shit out of this. You literally have less than a day of history. So yeah, I have no opinion on this that you should want. I don't know. Yeah, if it went live at $10 a share and you bought at 80, I would be taking all kinds of profits. Yeah. Appreciate that, Farleon. What's up with your boxing career? Well, yeah, I still practice, but I don't think the career. I don't think the people who were running those promotions are even doing it anymore. Like, no one's fucking watching this market, man. You know what I mean? Like, no one gives a shit. So I imagine it's probably pretty damn hard to turn a profit in hosting those events. But hey, who knows? Yeah, I think they canceled all the events this year, man. I can only opine on the reason why. Thoughts on Gemini? We can look at Gemini. Gemini derp here. I still don't like it, obviously, but does it have a chance for a low here? It does, but just like Circle, I want to see a higher high and a higher low. I'm not in a hurry to buy these things. To be fair, it did get down to a $3 number, so that was one of my like major areas of interest, I guess, but I wouldn't necessarily just call a blind low here just yet. I mean, it's still pretty fucking ugly. Yeah. It's just a nasty as shit downtrend. So I would not. I'm not front running any sort of reversal here. It's got to do a lot of works, man. It's got to do a lot of work. Love Action says we are alone in the dark cave. We are very alone in this dark cave, but I'm glad to be here with you fucking psychos. Yeah, the sweet sugar walls. Yep. What do you think about IBB? I think generally the health sector is. I think that's the one where rotations are going to. What do I think about it over the next few months? I like it, but I do think you could easily get a pullback here, down to 180. Don't think that that's asking for too much. But overall, if we fast forward to the end of this year, do I think it's higher? Yeah, I do think so. Over the next few months, probably pull back over the next few months, hopefully at least. I don't know. Maybe I do want to live in a box bull. If you can buy it for 80 cents and sell it for $10, I will live in a box bull. No problem. Just let me buy as much as possible. IPO was today. How does that work? Again, I don't know. I don't play these sort of things. I don't deal with these sort of things. If I would, I would be selling the ever living shit out of that. Again, maybe it goes higher as fuck. Who the hell knows? But that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't have an edge in that. So if I see that I'm up 10x, I'm going to immediately go, okay, there's a bunch of money in my hands. I should close my hands and look and run in the other direction. Go do something else, man. It's a great return, crazy return. INJ to $6 reasonable. Oh, I always love shitcoin requests. And then the question reasonable to $6. Well, I guess it's not that far away. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't be that surprised. I think that it does have a rally here, and getting up to like $6.5, $7 is not that out of the question. Somewhere around that previous high. Would I like be bullish on it? Not really, but I do think you got a rally here, and I do think probably a little bit above $6. Yeah, man. IPOs usually drop 60 to 70%, something like that. But sometimes IPOs will rally like right off the fucking get go. 2-3x. Sometimes they just dump 90%. In my opinion, if I'm not an insider in an IPO, I don't have it. I don't have any edge. And if I don't have any edge, I don't want to be involved personally. I bought at 75.85 calendar and then sold a 74.50, 74.40 put spread. Okay, so you bought a call spread and sold a put spread. Okay, so you are positioning yourself long. Made it a lot more complicated than it needs to be. You capped your upside and you gave yourself downside exposure. That's not ideal, especially at those strikes for the puts, at least in the way that I look at things. I mean, again, I'm not saying that you can't make that work. Like maybe you have your reasons, and I'm sure that you do, but just like from the way that I think, I would immediately say, I don't like that. Yeah, man. Bears make money, bulls make money, pigs also make money in the right conditions. And if they're not careful, then they get slaughtered. Pigs make a lot of money in a parabolic bull market. They just usually don't keep it. Like Circle rallied, then took another. Yeah, exactly, man. And exactly like SpaceX. Well, I haven't even looked at SpaceX in a while. Let's see what it's doing. I imagine probably not anything good. Here it is. Oh yeah, it's down even more. Crazy. Downtrends continue to go down. But again, when you have something that's this new, it's like it doesn't take much to happen on a daily time frame to reverse a trend. That's the issue with it. Like you just don't know. Now, look, I'm certainly not calling like a reversal right here or anything like this. I'm not. Just saying. Zach Brion says, everyone IRL and online that I see expects a Q4 October Bitcoin dump and is waiting to buy during that time. Could the consensus be front run? Look, I don't care about these sort of timing things. I also don't care about consensus opinion. I'm just going off of what I see. I'm going off the signals that are objectively defined, and that's all I care about. And I'm saying that I'm seeing a lot of signals as of right now that suggest that the macro low could already be in. And at the very least, there's a major low in, and we should be expecting a rally up here. It makes me feel, I guess it's kind of a good sign that a lot of people are expecting, a dump later on and lows in October, because Bitcoin must absolutely, without any other scenario, always put in the low 1 year after the high. Okay. cool, I guess, but maybe it works out like that. But at the same time, like, if I see the number 2 in front of my face, I'm going to say the number is 2. It's just the way I think, man. So yeah, you know, maybe they end up being right. At the same time, I see potential that it's already in. I see a pretty strong potential it's already in. And if this month closes above 63,750, basically anywhere here or higher, it starts to look not bad at all to me, really. Thoughts on MSTU this cycle? I hate all of these things. This is one of those MicroStrategy. Yeah, fuck, like, I want to take out my eyeballs and shove them up my fucking asshole anytime I see dumb shit like this. Not calling you dumb, but dumb fucking shit like this. What fucking degenerate piece of garbage human being created a leveraged ETF on fucking MicroStrategy that's already basically a leveraged Bitcoin play to begin with? Like, you have volatility decay upon volatility decay. You are going to get absolutely ass raped times 1 billion. And that's really also hurting the YouTube algorithm. On shit like this, you in order to make money on something like this, you have to be so fucking perfectly timing a volatile breakout and then make sure that you sell precisely before any sort of even moderate pullback in order to make better returns than just holding the underlying, which is also a fucking leverage, basically ETF of Bitcoin, which is also, in my opinion, stupid. I don't get it, man. Good luck. Do I think you'd have some upside here? Sure. Would I want to own this thing? Fuck no. Hell no, man. Hell no. Krown, if you change the trading hours on CME, does it fix it for the chart? Do you mean the time zone or the trading hours? Oh, daily. I'm not seeing anything different here. I'm not seeing anything different here. Between like okay, so set uses settlement as close on a daily interval. B adjust means adjust for contract changes. I don't know. So you're saying there's a chance. There's always a chance. It might just be very, very low probability. Thoughts on MSTSU this cycle? Back tested to 2022, and it would have 30 to 35x. Good luck with that, man. Good luck with it. I don't know. Look, man. You're asking someone who just absolutely despises those offerings. And I'm not talking about like the MicroStrategy offerings, by the way. I'm talking about leverage ETFs. I fucking hate leverage ETFs of any sort. Yeah, the algorithm just doesn't understand. That's right. It doesn't. Has NASDAQ bottomed? I mean, like, on what time frame, man? On a 1 minute time frame? Maybe not. On a weekly time frame? Probably yes. I don't know exactly what you're looking at, man. To say like it's bottomed, again, has Bitcoin bottomed on a 5 minute time frame? Maybe not. Maybe not right here. No. Has it bottomed on a 10-day time frame or a daily time frame? Most likely yes. Decay it doesn't just kill you, it fucking massacres you, man, and then pisses on your remains. Like this is the epitome of like financial experts learning how to interweave human psychology to absolutely just extract money from uneducated, moronic, greedy people. I really don't know whose fault it is, to be honest with you, because like it is, of course, your priority, and it is also your responsibility to educate yourself on anything that you invest in. So if you know what it is and then you still get into it, it's like, okay, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I think personal responsibility trumps everything else. So, yeah, I really don't like it. Look, I'm not saying that you can't make money on it, but I'm saying that you're going to make life a lot more difficult for yourself trading something like that, even than just trading MicroStrategy, which is also already a leverage ETF. Anyway, so, I mean, like, just look at the MicroStrategy chart. This thing probably has some upside from here. If Bitcoin does, I would assume that it does as well. But the problem is that when you start to range, you get fucking killed on volatility decay. And the only way to really like do these things properly, where you actually make more than just holding Bitcoin, is to perfectly time a breakout or a breakdown. When I say perfectly time, I mean you have to be in on the weekly bar that breaks it on increasing volatility, and then also avoid the pitfalls of the next medium-term pullback and consolidation, because you'll end up giving up a lot of gains during those times. That's what makes it really, really difficult, like super difficult. 2-day 5 versus 21 EMA cross coming. Let's check it out. Yeah, you're right, man. Oh wow, yeah, it's gonna force that one tomorrow. Yeah, there's that 68 target then. CME is still a little bit further away, because the moving averages haven't necessarily caught up with each other to spot price action just yet, but they will get there. They shall get there as well. Weird, on my trading view, there's an option for electronic trading hours that's 24/7, and then regular trading hours. Oh. Let's see. No, that's just literal time zone. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. It might be hidden somewhere, and I just don't, I'm just too redacted to find it. Perhaps I can find it later then. Make a rich Krown. You can use the knowledge, man. I can't do much more than that for you. Anyways, yeah, another 10 fucking emails about firearm sales. Amazing, incredible. But still, you're better off just playing options. Yeah, I would agree so as well. But even then, like, then you have real volatility decay when you're long options. Like, there are times to make sense to long options. Absolutely. Like, don't get it twisted. There certainly are right times, but they are few and far between. And more often than not, the answer is no. Serious question. Keep your blood pressure low. Okay, I will. I'm from Austria, so I'm not directly involved. Just interested. What is your major criticism of Democrat states in U.S.? Just the fact that they're veering more and more towards socialism now. Just makes it kind of untenable. Like, I like America when there's like two viable parties, when you have like a real left, like a real Democrat party, and then a real Republican party. Socialists are not viable, in my opinion. So that completely, if they truly do take over the Democratic Party, which it seems like they're getting a pretty strong foothold in, I think that's a big issue, and it makes everything worse for everyone else, because then you really only have one option, and if that option, is not good, then you have to default to the fucking lesser of two evils, basically, and that sucks. Yeah. So I don't know. And then there's also just shit like recently. Okay, see this news story that I'm about to repeat. Like, I cannot understand the opposing argument to it. Oh, and then also the other thing is like the fucking voter ID for non-citizens. Like, why do you think it's okay for non-citizens to vote? Like stop. Like, we should all be able to agree on this. This is ridiculous. This is absurd. This is fucking absurd. This is sad. It's just fucking sad that we can't even get that passed. But this next story is another example of what I think is kind of wrong with the current crop on the blue team. So in Minnesota recently, ICE was trying to deport this guy who was a convicted sex offender. Like, he raped a fucking 10-year-old boy or girl. I don't know. Anyways, really destroying my YouTube algorithm right now. But yeah, this guy who was an illegal immigrant. Okay, he came into the country illegal, staying illegally, raped a young kid, and ICE was going to deport him recently. And in order to stop the deportation from happening, the governor of Minnesota, who is a Democrat, Tim Walz, pardoned this guy. He pardoned him. This, again, it's not like he was on trial for sexual assault and we don't know yet. He's a convicted sex offender and he's an illegal alien. This is where I'd hope everyone in America can agree. If you're illegally here and you're a criminal, I don't think that there should be any argument sending those people out. Now, people who are here illegally, who are not criminals, I do think that there should be some way to citizenship for a lot of those people. Maybe not all of them, but if they've integrated, if they've assimilated, I think that it would actually be a good idea to take probably a lot of those people. It actually does help. I'm not against immigration. I'm just against illegal immigration. I think that we should stop illegal immigration totally from now on, but make immigration a lot easier. Make it a lot easier and get all the fucking people who especially have like value in this world, get them over here, man. Make it really easy and really nice for them. That's the way to do it. Like, that's what makes America better. That's what makes America stronger. Anyways, Arms Private says, how big of a pullback do you expect from the $66,500 level? Exactly 2%. Dude, I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I could see it going from 665 or, back down to like 65 or 65.5, the breakout area. But look, like if you're asking me to like, it must go exactly from here down to there to the decimal, I don't know. It's just that would be an area of interest for a pullback. Would I be playing that? No, because that's not how I think. That's not how I trade. So I really don't know, man. If it gets 665, like I said, it could easily pull back down to like 65.3, for example. That doesn't mean it's going to, but it could pull back there theoretically and still remain bullish. That's more how my brain works with these sort of setups, rather than like it's going to do like a zig and a zag exactly like this. No, these are Elliott wave dummies who think that they can predict like the market fucking decimal to decimal. Look, they're not all dummies. There's some great people who use Elliott wave as like a guide. I get it. I totally get it. But the people who act as if you can like literally predict price from decimal to decimal, these people are charlatans in my opinion, because I've not seen that. I have not seen that been able to be done consistently enough to the point where I go, oh shit, there really is something here. I've not seen it consistent enough with that. Yeah. Anyways. All right. Socialism versus communism is where we're headed. Hopefully not, man. That would be devastating, but it's called borders for a reason. Wait a second, but no humans illegal on stolen land. I love that term stolen too. Like all of these terms are just hijacked and they reappropriate the meaning. They just reassign a meaning for it so that it can fit their narrative. It's like calling something a genocide when it's not. Just like calling like when they were talking about the trans genocide. I thought when I first heard that, I was like, oh shit, they're just like killing all these people. No, what they mean by that is that they're no longer like offering fucking, like pronouns on your fucking profile to like select them, shit like that. It's like, oh God. Or like you can't get fucking surgery if you're, under 18, like duh. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. Anyways, man. Yeah. Do you think the kind of socialist systems can work though, or why not? No. Honestly, I don't think socialism can ever work not because of like the math behind it, because that already is an issue. But someone who's smart would argue, if I'm going to steel man their point of view, they're going to argue, well, shit, in the future we're going to have access to complete abundance. Thus, we can make everything free. Thus, socialism will work. Unfortunately, our human nature has not changed. And we have first off, okay, we can take this multiple veins. I'll take this one through the psychological vein in which, one, we have these drives as humans to not relate ourselves in, not kind of like count up our standing in society as like, oh, we're doing really, really well compared to the past. No, you measure yourself compared to your neighbor and the people around you. So if they're doing better than you in any sense, you are going to feel probably envy and resentment, and you are going to create some other game in which that, becomes an issue as well. As far as socialism not working I don't really need to go over it from like a mathematical financial perspective. Like that is just plain fucking obvious. I mean, we've had so many experiments with it already, and they just have not worked. But I think what the more interesting take is that it actually just doesn't even work with humans psychologically, because people are also not blank slates. You can't just have one person do, like you can't treat two people the same in their capabilities, because they're not. I used to believe this, and I'm like really ashamed that I used to believe it, because it's so obviously false. I used to believe that people were blank slate because I've learned this in fucking college, right, from my dumbass professors who didn't know shit to begin with. And you could basically just, put one person in a position and it's completely interchangeable with someone else. The only difference is just, conditioning. This is not true. And you can prove this to be not true by looking at the literature and the studies on IQ. People have different IQs, and you really can't even change your IQ. You're kind of born with it in a way, which is kind of fucked up. So yeah. That's a big issue. Like you can't take someone who's a fucking 60 IQ and make him a nuclear scientist. I'm sorry, but it doesn't seem like that's possible from what I've read. Yeah, it's the blood pressure. Okay. Communism won't work because humans are greedy by nature and for survival. I don't know if that inherently makes it incompatible, although I do think it is compatible with human nature. Yeah, but capitalism fails. I don't know. Capitalism has been doing pretty well, but hey, in the U.S., we don't have capitalism. Like someone said this in a stream like a long time ago. Sorry for the starting. I know it's fucking annoying. That in the US, we have like basically socialism for fucking, in some cases, businesses, but we also have socialism just in general. Like we have Social Security. We have Social Security. The bottom fucking 50% of people pay basically nothing in taxes, almost nothing in taxes. So do we have socialism? Yeah, we already have socialism in the US. So capitalism failing, you can't really say, I mean, I don't know. I don't know of a pure capitalist experiment to compare with. Hard to say, man. In normal free markets, prices go up and down to tell businesses exactly what people want to buy without these market clues. Central planners often guess wrong. Yeah, I mean, there's that, of course, as well. Socialism for the rich. Okay. Oh God. I think that we disagree on a lot of things, sir. How is it socialism for the rich? Let me know how it's socialism for the rich when they account for more than 90% of taxes. Explain that one to me, sir. I'd love to know. I'd love to know. Insurance is better than lottery. I used to believe that everyone can do anything, and the only difference was the time invested to learn. Yeah, I believe this as well. And unfortunately, as I've gotten older and as I've been more educated and learned, it's actually really sad because I wish it was like that, because that would be better. I mean, shit, then we could then really, truly, the thing that separates us from like the best fucking utopia is just education. But that's unfortunately not true. If it was, then we could fucking, we could make this world amazing. I don't know, maybe we could still do it, but it's just a little bit harder. Yeah. Bloom Energy, I think we looked at this one. I'm biased towards a little bit more downside here. Probably comes down and fills a gap at like 175 region. Have I looked at Ethereum? We looked at Ethereum Bitcoin, but we can look at Ethereum USD. I imagine that one's doing okay if Bitcoin's doing okay. Let's see if it's doing better than Bitcoin, though, is a real question. No, it's not above its July high yet, but it's doing the same thing as Bitcoin. I think it has more upside here. I think it goes above $2,000. Bitcoin pushing higher. Nice indeed. People need to be more educated overall. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there certainly is there certainly is with the IQ literature, there certainly is like some amount of education that can raise up your IQ a little bit, but it's not by a ton, but it can be raised a little bit, and that does matter. Hope everyone's healthy and safe. You as well, sir. All good, J-Tim. Capitalism worked just fine for us until it started getting corrupted during the early 1900s. Yeah, honestly, man, I thought Teddy Roosevelt was maybe one of my favorite presidents, and maybe he still is, but he did kind of start a lot of the social programs, and of course the other Roosevelt as well. So yeah, the U.S. is not pure capitalist. But hey, look, I mean, to be fair, like when it was pure capitalist, there certainly were issues. Like I do think you need some regulations. That much is obvious. Educated can still be scammers or thieves. Oh yeah, for sure. It doesn't mean that you're like aiming towards good things. You're not necessarily aiming up. Like you could be really, really smart and be a fucking complete evil genius and aiming down. And believe me, like if you run into one of those people in your lifetime, you fucking remember them for the rest of your lifetime, and you have the scales removed from your eyes, and you are enlightened as to how really terrible things can happen. Like, because there really are people out there who they're not just smart, but like they like relish in other people's agony. Like they are sadistic in a way. They make it like an art form in a way. It's fucking crazy, man. But yeah, they do exist. It's a small percent of the population for sure, but they do exist. EQ trumps IQ. A lot of dummies said that about 10 years ago, and that was proven untrue as well. Emotional intelligence does not trump intelligence quotient, IQ, basically, because emotional intelligence can't be defined. That's the problem with it. You're measuring a fucking subjective a metric. It doesn't mean anything. That's kind of the issue. Yeah, because I've heard that as well. That was really popular to say about 10 years ago. It proved not to be true, unfortunately, because again, that would be, I don't know, I guess it sounds nicer, but of course. Anyways, socialism is basically a shitcoin chart. Well, yeah, the problem is at some point you run out of producers to take money from. Machiavellian, something like that, man. Yeah, let's check out, what is this, 96, 97? Some Japanese stocks. This is Nintendo. Looking at Nintendo. No, Capcom. These are the ones who do Resident Evil. I inherently have to look at this week's high as a likely, well, I'd have to be kind of looking at this as a local high here, man. You're at the 200 simple on the daily and the weekly 55 EMA. And both of these, when you see rallies to those numbers or those sort of major areas of interest, usually you got to be thinking, in this case, local high and pull back. It also gives you a pretty easy and obvious invalidation point. If it starts to really close above 35.50, maybe you have a reversal on your hands. But, I want to point out here, you don't have a higher low yet on a weekly. So ideally, you do something like this, like pop back down for a higher low and then work your way up. I think that's a lot more likely than doing something like this, for example. Yeah. I have a master's in psychology, and most of the science is very difficult to measure. Yeah, I've heard that as well, which is unfortunate because psychology is actually one of the more interesting subjects to me. But yeah, when you do look into the studies, like you start to realize, okay, you're presenting the study as one way, but I'm not sure this is the most accurate way to do this. Yeah, man, difficult. 97.66. Okay, 97.66. Whoops, that is not the time frame. Let's try it like this. There we go. Konami. Similar chart here, not as strong. Not as strong in the short term, but I do think that this one has a little bit more upside. Probably pops up to like 19.7. If things get really crazy, we'll test the 200 simple, but that would be an obvious pullback area as well if it gets there. Oops, just drawing lines now. Yeah. Overall, though, not really much doing here as long as you're below the price action pivot of 21,730. And I do like this as a low. It's just I wouldn't be surprised if you get another move somewhere down close to that low. Wouldn't be that crazy. Calamity says, is DCA the best strategy for most? I would honestly, after looking through a bunch of different long-term strategies, after testing a bunch of long-term strategies, after working with Pesto on the long-term investor indicator, I do think a weekly DCA is not just the best strategy for most. I think it's for most things the best strategy. The only way to really outperform a DCA, like a weekly or a monthly DCA on very specifically an uptrending asset, okay? You can't fucking DCA on a down-only asset and expect to do well, or a shitcoin asset. It's not gonna work like that. But if you do it on an uptrending asset like Bitcoin, the best way to maximize your return is with like a weekly DCA plus buying bigger amounts when you get pullbacks above about 15%. But just doing a weekly DCA on its own is honestly going to give you about 80% of that performance. It's kind of crazy. It's actually really crazy. Yeah, you can try to be like the best fucking investor of all time, and still that's it's going to get you most of the results. I'll do a couple more here, guys, and then I got to go. Actually going to be in the process of setting up the new stream area. Okay. Zach Brion says, outside Bitcoin, are there any shitcoins? No. But you're asking someone who if they're going to buy shitcoins who just is not interested in that like at all. I'm zero interested in shitcoins. I'm not saying that they're all going to do terrible or just not as good as Bitcoin over the next year or two or whatever. I just have zero interest in them. I look at them as highly speculative, startups basically. And if I'm going to invest in something like that, I'm going to invest in a singular stock on traditional markets that actually has some sort of protections, because most of these fucking shitcoins, they're very devious. I mean, talk about fucking people aiming downwards, like a lot of them, you really have no transparency into them. I mean, the stock market's bad enough, but like getting into shitcoins, for me, it's just more risk than I care to have. Again, I'm not saying that you can't make money with them. I'm sure, there are going to be some that do really, 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 really well, but that's just not my game. That's not what I'm interested in. So that is why, at the outset, I would say no, because I would not do that. Anyways, Calamity says CEG, daily, weekly. CEG. Kind of looks like the last couple charts, really. Are you going to work off this as a daily higher low and get back up towards 267, 265 region? Probably yes, but doesn't really do too much for you. Weekly, I don't have a strong opinion on this chart. It's definitely not bullish in the short term, if not anything more than just an extension of the current rally. Like I said, could get back up to like 265, 270-ish region. Doesn't do anything for you. I wouldn't be like calling a reversal on this thing until you're back above 330, or I wouldn't be like, I would be mindful that it's possible you might see one more downside move in a real low format around like 215 to 220. Not because I think that this is like inherently super bearish right here, but because the 200 simple is starting to pop up around this region, which is a very obvious technical pivot. And if it did get down around there, I think that that's just like a much nicer area. Regardless, I do think in the very, 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 very short term, you got to rally here. It doesn't reverse your trend or anything like that. If you can reclaim the high from July with the daily closure above 266.5, then yes, you do have a reversal on the daily, and I would extend targets up to like 280, 285 region. And then I'd say like your low from July is going to be the low side of your range, and the high of, what was it, like 330 is going to be the top side of your range. And you probably spend your time going sideways within that range. But until then, I don't have like a super strong opinion on this thing. I do think your next move is a rally. How high does that rally go is a real question. Does it actually reclaim last week's high, basically? If it does, I think that this rally gets a lot more interesting. If it doesn't, then, well, keep your mind open for another dumbola. J Toom says, like, DCA into Vanguard index. Honestly, yes. Like, I went through my full traditional market portfolio yesterday, and when I was going through it, my biggest gains are all in the ETFs. My biggest losses are all in singular stocks. And honestly, man, I know it's the boring advice, but I can tell you from experience, I can tell you from doing a bunch of like really intricate studies myself, DCA into the fucking indexes or indices is, it really is going to be the right thing for almost everyone. Like it's never the worst decision. It's never the worst decision. I'll put it that way. Zcash 2 to 6 week time for what? Okay, I think what you're asking is like, what's it going to do in the next 2 to 6 weeks, rather than like a 2 week time frame or a 6 week time frame. I very often misunderstand that. People probably inherently think of it like that, but yeah, I think you probably trade back up towards like 680, 690. I'm not bearish on ZEC. I don't own it. So who was the person who asked earlier? Zach Briones. I mean, this is one of the better looking ones, but still, am I going to buy it? No. Because, when it comes to shitcoins, like, they can just dump out of fucking nowhere to hell and beyond. All right. I think that's a good place for us to leave off, guys. It's been a pretty cool conversation today. Really enjoy people joining in as always. Yeah. Wait for a 10% pullback, go in a little bit. Generally works pretty decently. You're not going to come like super massive rich doing that, but you will, more importantly, grow your wealth consistently over time, compounding, working with the seventh wonder of the world, as Mr. Warren Buffett likes to say. All right, cool. Yeah, I think we're good for today. We'll be back on tomorrow with another just regular video analysis, and then some more live streams on Wednesday and Friday. I want to thank everyone for joining in. Been actually a really fun stream, and didn't even expect it to go this long, but it did, which is cool. Other than that, take care, much love, and see you tomorrow.